Hi there, it's Carol with Carolbcrafts. Today we'll be doing project number 3 in my Meant to Be January Club Kit. Check out my website www.cutstampcreateclub.com to see what current club kits I'm offering. Now this is a darling little Valentine's Day shaker card, and we'll be making this together. I'll be giving the supplies and dimensions as we go along so that you can make this adorable little shaker card with us. Now in our January club kit, we're using the Meant to Be bundle, which includes the Meant to Be stamps and the Be Mine framelits, which are adorable framelits. Lots of good uses there with the frame, the hearts. You have different shapes of hearts. If you see anything in the video that you would like to order, check out my website www.carolbcrafts.com to get the current host code so that when you order you can earn customer rewards from me with each order that you use the host code on. So let's get started making our beautiful Valentine's Day shaker card. The first thing you'll need is a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. You need 5 pieces of lovely lipstick cardstock, 4 1/4 by 4, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, 4 by 4, and then one small piece 1 1/2 by 1 1/2. You'll need 1 piece of Flirty Flamingo, 4 1/4 by 4 inches. You'll need 4 pieces of Whisper White, 3 by 3 inches, 4 by 3 1/4 inches, and then 2 pieces 5 inches by 3/4 of an inch. You'll need some DSP, 4 by 4 3/4 inches. You'll need this embossed piece of Whisper White from your club kit. It is 3 7/8 by 4 1/2. It's embossed with the garden trellis folder, and we're going to be using the debossed side. You'll need a piece of the Sizzix adhesive sheets, and it is 4 by 6. One small piece of the metallic sheeting, and it is 2 inches by 1 1/2. You get 2 pieces 4 by 4 of the window sheets in your kit, but you'll need to cut it to 4 3 7/8, so just an eighth shorter on one side. So you'll need to cut your window sheets to 4 by 3 7/8 inches. From your kit, you'll need 4 of the adhesive strips for our shaker card. You'll need 1 large pearl and 2 small pearls. You'll need your packet of iridescent sequins from your kit. We're going to be using lovely lipstick, and you'll want to get your embossing buddy too, so that will help cut down on the static inside your shaker card. You will need the smallest circle die and the smallest scallop circle die from the Layering Circles framelits. I like to start with our stamping, so you'll need your 3 by 3 Whisper White and your 4 by 3 1/4. And this is a portrait style card, so we'll be stamping with our cardstock in portrait mode. So we'll need, actually we will be using Flirty Flamingo ink. Sorry, we will need lovely lipstick and Flirty Flamingo, because I just realized this little heart here is Flirty Flamingo. So we'll start with our lovely lipstick ink, and we'll put this in place with our magnet. I'm going to use the Happy Valentine's Day stamp. So now I don't put my stickers on my backing, so I'm going to use a piece of 4 by 6 sheeting. I just realized that, sorry. I'm going to stamp my Happy Valentine's Day here at the bottom of my 4 by 6. This is separate from the sheeting that I included in your kit. But I guess you could use your sheeting if you needed to. You might put your stickers on your stamps. So there's my Happy Valentine's Day. Now I'm going to slip this underneath here. Make sure I keep that in the corner. And that's going to help me place my Happy Valentine's Day perfectly where I want it. And then when I'm happy with it, I can just remove the window sheeting and stamp. Now you may not need to do that depending on how you use your stamps. So I have my Happy Valentine's Day. I'm going to clean off my window sheet. Now the little hearts that I'm going to use is this heart and this heart. And I don't think I'll need to use my sheeting for that. I think I can pretty much place those where I want them without using my window sheet. So I'm going to stamp that with, the larger heart's going to be stamped with Flirty Flamingo. And then the smaller heart is going to be stamped with Lovely Lipstick. And now we're going to stamp the front sentiment, which is the You Make Me Happy from the 3x3 inch piece. And we're just going to stamp that in the center because we'll be die cutting it. So we have the You Make Me Happy in our Lovely Lipstick. Okay, so our stamping is done and now we're ready to do some die cutting. So the die cutting that we have to do, you'll need your 4 1/4 by 4 inch Lovely Lipstick and your 4 1/4 by 4 inch Flirty Flamingo. That's going to be for the little hearts that are inside. We won't use all of the hearts, we'll only use the smaller sized hearts. You'll need your 1 1/2 by 1 1/2 Lovely Lipstick. We'll be cutting that with our smallest scalloped die, and then we'll also be cutting our You Make Me Happy with our smallest circle die. Now before we die cut the 4x4 lipstick, Lovely Lipstick, we're going to have to put some adhesive on it, and then we're going to put some adhesive on the back of our 2 by 1 1/2 inch silver metallic. So we'll go ahead and remove where it says peel here. We're just going to peel it up. And then down here by this small strip that's not sticky, we're going to line up our cardstock. Press it down, and then our small piece of silver metallic, and do not get any glue on or sticky on there because it will ruin it. So we'll go ahead and replace this, and then we're going to trim it. I have some gooey scissors that I saved for just this kind of thing. I'm going to trim it along the edges. That will keep our plates from getting gooey. And if there's any extra hanging over like that, you would want to trim it as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut these, separate them. Now the 4x4 is going to be die cut with the largest scalloped heart die, and then our silver is going to be die cut with our little rose die. So we have our die cuts, and it's hard not to get your fingers sticky. This is all we're going to use right here. This you can use for something else, and then we'll have our little rose die cut. So next we'll die cut our circle and our scallop circle. So there's our scallop circle and our regular circle. Now our two pieces of 4 1/4 by 4, we're going to die cut 2 of these hearts on each one. So it'll be 1 2 1 2, Okay, so I've cut twice with this die on both my cardstocks, and then I have my Flirty Flamingo hearts and my lovely lipstick hearts. Now you're going to find that your hearts have like little fibers in them, so you want to kind of move them around to see if you can get a lot of those fibers off of them. You may or may not have that depending on your situation. And then I'm just going to use one of these lint rollers to pick up those little fibers. Try not to get any in my hearts. I'm going to do that a couple of times so that I get as many of those fibers that I can. Okay, I think I have got most of the fibers off. So now I want to go through and pick out the largest hearts. They don't move around as easily inside. So those very large hearts, we're going to pull those out. Let's see, I have 8, and I probably have one in here that needs to come out. This one here. So I have 8 and 8 that I pulled out to give you an idea. So that leaves these. So what I'm going to do next may seem a little odd, but I'm going to sprinkle my hearts onto this. I am using a clean, flat cutting pad, and if I'd used that to cut my hearts, I probably wouldn't have had as much fibers to deal with. I have a heart over here that doesn't want to come where it's supposed to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these through my Big Shot between 2 plates, just the 2 acrylic plates. Try not to lose any. And I don't want them stacked on each other, so I'm going to unstack them. And you might be wondering why I'm doing this. When you do a die cut, there's usually a curved edge, and that curved edge is going to prevent these from being so easy, move around so easily inside because the curved edge, it likes to like catch on to each other. I found out anyway, the hard way. So what I'm going to do is run this through my Big Shot between the 2 plates as soon as I get them all separated. And get my other plate. So this is going to go, how they're going to go right through the Big Shot like this, and hopefully that will take the curve out of them. Now just so you know, I did use a piece of shim. This is from a piece of paper pack, that piece that comes in the back that's kind of like thicker cardstock. So hopefully that did the trick. You can see that they're kind of stuck there. I think my plate is a little sticky. That's probably not a good thing. Don't want them to have anything sticky on them. So now they're nice and flat, and they should slide around a lot easier. So I'm going to leave these on my plate for now. We'll come back to those because we have something else to do to them. Now our 2 pieces of Whisper White, 5 by 3 1/4. We're going to use this scallop die that comes with the set, and we're going to put it on the edge of the cardstock and tape it in place so that it stays on the edge. And we're going to run these through the Big Shot. Okay, so I have my 2 scalloped borders. Okay, we're going to die cut our 4 by 4 3/4 piece of DSP with our largest scalloped heart. And I'm going to use my grid paper because I know that it's 2 inches on each side of the center. I'm going to put my heart here about 5/8 of an inch from the bottom, from the top, and this part here is 5/8 inch from the top. And then I'm going to get my ruler, and what I'm going to do is put my ruler here along this center line. And since I have my DSP 2 inches on each side of that line, I know that down the center is where my heart, the center of my heart should be. And that way I'll be able to line it up perfectly. And it's about the right distance from the top. So I'm going to go ahead, might move it down a little bit. And that looks good. So now I'm going to put a piece of tape there and run it through my big shot. Hold that in place. I might put another one just in case. Alright, I'm going to run that through the big shot. Okay, so now we're ready to start building our shaker card. So you're going to want to put some snail on the back, and you're going to want to put it as close to the edge as possible so that it touches your border. I want just a little bit of the above the stitching because I do want the stitching to show. And I'll do the other side, and we want it right on the edge. You can also put a piece of scratch paper underneath if you're worried about getting adhesive on your surface. And just right there. Okay, and then just trim our sides. And now we're going to put one of our sheets of 3 7/8 by 4 inch adhesive. I'm going to get it has some fuzz on it. I'm going to try to get some of that fuzz off. Make sure you have the 3 7/8 inch going across. Now I'm going to put some adhesive along the about a little more than 1/8 of an inch, tiny little dots along the sides of the die where the die cut is. You don't want to use too much because you don't want it to ooze over to the front. And then I know down here there's going to be more surface down there, and then up here in the corner I'm going to put a little bit more. Make sure I still have my 3 7/8 going across. If you mess up and do it the other way, you can always just trim it off the sides. You want to make sure you cover up completely your heart. Okay, we're going to press that down gently, and then you're just going to let that dry. Give it a good 5 minutes to dry. If you have any excess sticking out from underneath the plastic, you can just hit it with a wipe of some kind, just briefly. Now when you think it's dried well enough, we'll go ahead with the next step. We're going to take one of our strips, our adhesive strips, take one completely off, and we're going to put one down here just above the stitching, and then trim that off. Don't get too close to the edge. And then on the sides, we're going to go along the sides as close to the edge as you can get and still see some of the cardstock below, or the paper. I'm going to trim it right there by where the border starts. We'll take another piece, strip, and pull it all the way up. And do the same thing over here. Now this isn't where the shaker part is going to go. This is just support for the DSP. We'll do the shaker part in just a second. And then we'll put it as close to the DSP as you can get the edge and still see some of the DSP below. You don't want to get very close at all, too far away from that edge. You want to stay as close to the edge as you can and still see some of the DSP. And the reason for that is so that you have room to do another strip along the edge here. Okay, so we have our base. Now we're going to do the part that holds in the little shaker material. So we'll take out another strip, complete strip. We're going to start here at the bottom. And I might zoom in, I don't know, hopefully I don't need to. You want your strip to be along the side, the edge of this, because we're going to put this in place, so that's going to hide a lot of the foam, so you don't have to worry about the foam showing. So put it right on the edge of your heart die, where the die starts. Bring it around and keep it as far away from, or as close to, as close to as you can get. Now when you get to this point, it's not going to want to turn, so you're going to just snip it off about right there. And I probably should have snipped it off straight across. So you want to snip it off straight across. And the reason you want to do that, straight across this way. And push that down firmly. The reason you want to do that is so that when you bring this one around, it meets like really nicely right there. There's no gap. And then we can just snip this off over here. That little extra there isn't going to hurt anything. And then if you have enough, well, we'll just go ahead and get another strip. We still need to get that last strip. And make sure it's straight across. So now I'm going to make sure that this meets down here perfectly, and that I'm going along the edge of my die cut area. Get as close to this other piece of foam that you can when you make that curve. And then when you get about right there, that's when you're going to take your scissors, cut straight across so that you get a nice edge. And now I'm going to take make sure I have a nice flat edge straight across to start with. I'm going to start right there and stick close to the edge, and then I'm just going to bring this around and I'm going to cut it right there. So this is what we have right now. So that's our first part right there. I'm going to push that down and make sure it's everything is nice and flat and in place. So next we're going to do something to cut down on the static. We're going to take our little I can see it has some pieces of fiber on it. That's probably not good. So we're going to take this and do the inside of our little heart. It's got kind of like a powder or something. We want to make sure that there's nothing sticky going on in there that would prevent our little shaker pieces from moving around. So I'm going to take my finger and make sure I'm moving that. It might just be cornstarch or some kind of powder that's going to keep that from sticking. And now we've got a mess, so we're going to take a microfiber cloth, or if you have a t-shirt or something that doesn't have any lint on it, and we're going to clean that up. Okay, so I think that's pretty well demagnetized. So now we are ready to put our hearts in and our sequins. So we're going to bring our hearts back in, and I'm going to hit them with this cloth that's hopefully going to demagnetize them with my embossing buddy. And then I'm going to come in with my microfiber cloth and just kind of clean them up. This is a lot of work, but it's worth it in the long run because your little hearts will not stick together. They will shake. Okay, so when you're happy with them, you go ahead and put your hearts in the center. We'll add our little sequins. I'm not going to demagnetize those. I hope I don't need to. Alright, so now we're ready to put on our second piece of adhesive sheet. Well, not adhesive sheet, window sheet. We'll make sure that we get everything off of it. It's not really going to show because it's going to be in the back, but we don't want any glue on it because that's going to make our little hearts stick. Make sure we have the 3 7/8 going across. And now we're going to remove the backing from our sticker thingies, our strips. Give it one last shot with the embossing buddy just to make sure there's nothing sticky on there. Again, 3 7/8 across. And I want to make sure that I cover up the whole heart. Everything is really sticky at this point. It's a little bit tricky, but you can do it. Okay, and I'm just going to push that around really good all the way around. Make sure it adheres. So now I'm ready to put on the back. That's our piece of whisper white that's been embossed. We're going to put the debossed side on the towards the front. So that means that this part, the high raised part, is going to be towards us. Now let's see. I think I'm going to put that on with some glue. And I want to put that where the glue is not going to show from the inside, obviously. I don't want to use too much. Remember, the debossed side goes on the front. And it just kind of goes right about there. Okay, we should have our shaker part done, except for the front. I see that I do have some glue there. I'll take care of that off camera. So now we're ready to put it on our card. Leave it face up because it's sticky on the back still. So we're going to put it on our piece of 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 lovely lipstick. So we're going to go ahead and put some glue on this, and this we can be a little generous with. Just don't get too close to the edges with it. Because we want to be a little generous, because it has to stay on there. Now this could be a little tricky. So basically you just want to have it even on the top and the bottom, and then on the sides. So I'm going to have to stick my head in. Okay. So there was a little break there. I can see that I see a little bit of my rubber, but that's, or the foam, but that's okay because I'm going to cover that up. Don't panic. Don't panic yet. That'll be covered up. So I'm going to try to get this glue. Okay, so if you find you have some glue on the front, just moisten your finger a little bit and dab some water on there, and then hit it with the microfiber cloth. All right, the next step is that we're going to put this in here, and that will hide a lot of our foam if we had a little bit of our foam hanging over. So we'll take the backing off of this. Okay, so we removed the backing, and now we're going to just start here, down here at the bottom, and walk around to the left, making sure that it's in place. Just going to walk it all the way around, making sure it's in place all the way around. Press it down, and it's important that you clean off any of the powder, because it might interfere with the stickiness of your heart die sticking, like this lovely lipstick scallop dot heart might not stick as well if you still have powder on your plastic. So we have that part. It's ready to go on our card front. So we'll bring in our sentiment, our inside sentiment that we stamped, and find our little valley there and fold away. And then we're going to use our bone folder to crease our card base. Go ahead and put this on with some snail. Okay, now we're going to put this on with some snail. We want to be gentle along the sides. We don't want to push too hard down. And we do want to use quite a bit. And I'm even going to put some glue in here to give it a double whammy here. In these spaces where I don't have any adhesive, I'm going to use some glue. And now we're just going to put this in place. It could be a little tricky. I think there's like a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. I'll just push it down there. I'm going to turn it on the other side and push from this side rather than pushing on my front. Alright, I think that will stay on there. We're almost done. We have our little shakies, and I think that's a cute card. The iridescent sequins add a little bit of bling to it. So the last things that we have, we're going to go ahead and put our sentiment together, and I guess I'll just put some glue on here. Little dots of glue to adhere that. That way I can move it around, hold it in place. Now I'll bring my sample in here. Looks like it's going to go just about right there, and we're going to put it on with some glue dots. So I'll get my glue dots out. I think about 4 will be enough. Okay. And just down here in the right hand corner, those are very sticky. Just want to make sure it's level before I put it on. You make me happy. There we go. And then we'll put our silver metallic rose on there. Okay, so I've removed all the little pieces that were in the die, and I've taken off the backing, and it's going to go up here in the top left corner, the small leaves going onto the left, and the little rosebud on the side, right about there. So all we have left to do now is our pearls. So we're going to take one of the large pearl. It's going to go in the center of our rose, very pretty. And then our 2 smaller pearls are going to go down here. Whoops, maybe. Maybe they are. One is just above the E in me, and one is just below the E in me. Okay, our beautiful shaker card is finished. I hope you enjoyed making it. I did, and I hope that you'll make more. This was project number 3 in my Meant to Be January Club Kit. I hope that you'll check out my website, www.cutstampcreateclub.com, to get the information about my current club kit that I'm offering. Thanks for watching. Bye now.